Here we go. It is time for another sprint zone. This one's for 6:16, 20, 26. Yeah, I know it said 6:15, but got that one wrong. In any case, I would like to take this time to thank Ron Kennedy for his telemetry and his video, as well as the really cool gauges that on the upper part of the screen that give the 5-minute power and 30-second power on a little graph. That's just sick. Thank you once again, Ron. Anyway, a good shot of Ron there in the yellow, the breakaway kit back there on the left. He is no doubt enjoying super compensation after finishing Unbound a couple of weeks ago and surviving the mud. So we're looking for him to do a lot of good work here. Into the melee. So you can see we're only doing like 19 miles an hour or so because there's like, once again, lethargy. Like people were posturing and trying to find themselves a good position. And I'm like, no, it is time to go. Strongmen sitting in, not going hard enough to create a selection. You know, this is not the way to roll. This is the way the weak roll. You know, with TTH roll like this, oh, hells no. It is go, it is go, it is go. And at least for the sprint zone, we should be emulating our TTH brethren and hitting hard. So I've got a good gap here. Unfortunately, up the road, there's like traffic. So you can see I'm like bleeding off energy, like 230 watts for 30 seconds. And you can see the group starting to bring me in. And it's not so much that they were going that hard to bring me in, because you can see them bunched up all over the road there. And I kind of wish that they would be strung out a little bit more. And I was trying to hopefully string that out. But you can see people just out in the road with basically hubris and entitlement. In any case, here I am, blocked by traffic, my hard work, down the toilet. What can I say? Anyway, everyone has a chance to recover. It was a good shot on Marcelo there. And he is looking fit. I don't think in all the years I've known him, I've seen him as lean and as fit as he is these days. I remember in the early videos, I used to talk about his pedaling stroke, how awkward it was. You could see it was forced, but now it is like smooth. And at some point, I should bring up a side-by-side. Like back in the day, he's probably not appreciating what I was saying about him. Like, why are you talking about my stroke? Yada, yada, yada. But in any case, yeah, side-by-side would show the improvement, not only in fitness, but in the pedal stroke. In any case, Wolfgang takes up the charge. Kind of surprised that other people were going to the right of those cars, especially when they were going slow. And it looked like that truck was with the combine, so it was time to go. In any case, people like coagulating, getting themselves together. But like I said, it is go time. This is not a time to be sitting around clogging up the road, because that little diversion has taken away some of the suffering. So it's time to go. So I'm out front, 30-second power, 240 something, keeping it real. Heart rate 161, which is good for me. It's probably slightly below my LT2 threshold. So I was, not suffering. Not feeling great, but not suffering here either. And not looking for any help at this point in the juncture. Everyone's still starting to get strung out, and I can see maybe a selection starting to form. Nope, no selection there. That is just, I think, Isla on the tail end on the e-bike. And now Marcelo takes over, and there you can see the fitness there. Look at how lean and fit he looks, and happy to take up the mantle. Daniel in the TFR kit looking strong and lean. Wolfgang after his hiatus in Canada, the Canadian training camp. Danny, viral racing, corn doggies with Scott Paglia. Brian with the Rio squad. Doug, uncommitted, and then Greg Kuchta with the Arrow helmet, sliding himself in, riding a bit, if I must say, above his station as others slide back as things start to settle out a bit. And you can see, everyone in this group is pretty strong, but there's been no selection yet. And because of that, everyone's still together. And this is what I really want to see. I want to see people committed at the front. I want to see people rotating and firing off like a machine gun. Bam! Going hard. Next person takes over. Bam! Going hard. Bam! Going hard. To try to create some sort of selection. And that has not happened yet. Looking at the power here, my 30-second power, 290, 280. So I am working. Heart rate 167. So now I'm like at my threshold here. I can go higher, but for not much longer. Marcelo gives up the ghost for a little while, slotting in after doing his turn up front. And it looks like, I can't see who is up there. It looks like Daniel doing his turn up front. And now it looks like Dougie taking over you can see in the Ron cam. Oh, no, Dougie's not taking over. It looks like that has Corn Doggy's taking over with Scott Pollia. Very strong showing here. And now Doug takes over. It seems like there's a little bit of hesitation on Doug's part, not wanting to put himself out there, but sort of like kind of clogging up the way. But no one really wants to go that hard. So maybe if I'm going that hard, everybody else is kind of suffering too. And you can see my heart rate coming down back into the very comfortable 156 for me. 30-second power, 81. 5-minute power, 191. Still above what Ron has, as he has not hit the front yet. Lots of people just hanging on, dancing next to the yellow line there. And here we go. Here's this little grade here, and Marcelo makes this little punch. Flirting with the yellow line. The new rules say don't touch it. That's going to be hard to enforce, but if cars are trying to pass at that moment, that's definitely a bit questionable. Anyway, Marcelo to the front, and that had to take a lot of energy to make it to the front there. Scott normally pushes over there, but allowing Marcelo to take over. Maybe Scott is a little more savvy. Maybe Marcelo is a bit stronger. Maybe the group is stronger. And at this point, I was like, I wanted to go up the front and be third wheel. And I was screaming in my head, Wolfgang, get the F out of my way. I wanted to go up there and do something. I can see the hesitation here. And I can hesitate no more. Enough of this. Let's go, people. Let's go. Maybe I'm channeling Daniel here, but there's been no selection. People are sitting in. Strongmen are sitting in, and trying to encourage people to keep the pace high. I mean, the sprint zone has a reputation. Do I need to call on the supers to come back to string it out? In any case, Ron Kennedy always looking to throw down. And I am on his wheel and looking at his power. 30-second 260, mine 230. So it is no joke even being anywhere near the pointy end of the stick. Looking rearward, you can see the nicely fitting kit of Doug compared to the bunches that Wolfgang has. Wolfgang, you're wasting watts, wearing a kit like that. Check out GCN, any of the YouTubers will talk about it. Josh Portner, Dylan Johnson, any of the guys that have the wind tunnel. So anyway, my turn to go up front. And you can see between Ron and myself, a selection has begun to occur. Riders have, in fact, been dispatched. And that is what I'd like to see. Yeah. So my 30-second power, 270. This is looking good. Instantaneous, 400 watts. Yeah. Heart rate 168. So I am over my threshold at this point, but I'm happy. I'm working hard here. I can see Ron working pretty hard there too. But everyone is still there, and there are lots of strongmen just sitting in. Maybe they're trying to save themselves for later on in the week for Thor. And anyway, I pull off, and I'm going to hope to try to sag back here, get my heart rate to recover. At this point, Elisa offers me a position in, but I am going back too quickly to accelerate to get back in. So I'm going to try to hopefully snag a little bit of the pushed air from behind and get myself back into contention. And you can see how easy it is for the weak to be sitting in. And really nobody is weak here, but compared to what Ron is putting out up front, nowhere near the wattage. And it's easy. And I was hoping that, okay, get up a little further, get some more draft. You can see looks like Elisa pulling off, kitchen a little too hot for her. And here's the big acceleration. And I'm and I don't know if it's real. Ron throwing it down. His 30-second power, 340, 350. Yeah. And this is why I was dispatched. And then there goes the e-bike, kind of disheartened to see something like that go by like that. It just snaps one's will. In any case, I'm backing it down. My work done for the day. And it looks like Ron's work is done for the day too. backing off while the wheel suckers, even the strong, the wheel suckers are going for it. This is probably where I need to have the Scott Polya cam. Or Ron and I need to decide, like, next week, it's all right. We're not working for you fools. We're going to let you see what it's like to just sit in. And I would feel guilty. I tried that before. But maybe, sitting in then and then launching a wicked sprint at the end. Maybe that's the way to go. But I know Ron likes to work hard. I like to work hard. It wouldn't sit right with us until it would sit right with us. Yeah, that was good. In any case, we'll just fast forward through here and maybe we can see on the return trip who got that one. Some cars passing here, a little motorcycle. And we'll come up and see, what do we got here? Up. It looks like, I want to say probably Scott Polya. Yeah, I think like Scott, probably Don, Matt. We'll say that that's who the crew was. Yeah, well done, everyone. Well done. Selection, did occur, even though I wasn't in the final selection. As a domestique, it's all good. So here we go. Yeah, good look at like who got that one. So there's Scott, looks like Don, then Danny, and then Matt. And I kind of wish people wouldn't pass positions here on the way back because it's like dishonorable. Like you didn't earn that spot, and it's easier for me to be able to see like who actually placed where. In any case, not a biggie, not against the rules of engagement. And now on to the next melee. Oh, there's a good shot of me with my hair. And, speaking of hair, I think it was Josh Portner that did a recent video on like the aerodynamic effects of having hair. And for like all the women and people with long hair, you want to fill in that spot behind your helmet. Because he found, and I forget which racer he was looking at, she was able to save 16 watts at like 30 kilometers, which is crazy. So anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, people are getting organized. Still people riding out in the middle of the road when they don't need to be riding in the middle of the road. Like I wish they would like double up, but like after that melee, they get all comfortable. I'm not naming names. You can see who it is. They get all comfortable. Like, just double it up. Look neat. It's like, ugh. Okay, finally doubled up. Heading down towards the sprint zone. Oop, we missed it. And here we go. Into the second melee zone. There's the signals here. We got the Ron cam up a little ahead of me. And this is when I saw TTH. That's right. TTH is up the road. Everybody else is like clueless. Maybe they saw it. They didn't say anything. And I'm like, TTH is up here. We don't want them to catch us. Can't have that, In any case, there's no sense of urgency here whatsoever. Like there might have been a sense of urgency with like Scott and Doug up front, but like nobody's following. Like looking at my 30-second power, like 90, and you can see people starting to walk off the front here. That it was like Scott and Doug, and nobody's really chasing. There's like lethargy here. I'm like, what the heck? Like, Greg, you got an aero helmet. Let's go. Daniel, let's go. Like, what is up with that? Unless, of course, somebody said foul and they're waiting for everybody, but everybody was here. Anyway, let's go. So we're going. So I'm going to try to bridge up to these two. So and Scott's up front, and this is going to be a heavy task. If I was on his wheel, I could be on his wheel. But you can see my instantaneous power, like in the 300, 30-second power, like 320, and coming down, 306 now. Still, like good power for me. And I'm just hanging it out there. Heart rate 162. Not horrible. And I'm like, bringing him in. I'm bringing him in. Life is good. And Doug is just a passenger here. Not willing to help. Actually, probably not able to help. Yeah, that might be an insult, but tell me if, in fact, that is not correct. In any case, my 30-second power, it looks like in the 270s, and we got Don from the Rio squad bringing me back in, and it looks like fairly easily, as everybody else is in tow. In any case, I don't think TTH is back there. This is what I was hoping. We don't want to be a carrot for them, but I think they could have caught us. My guess is that they saw us up the road and they said, hey, let's have a little truce until the children get out of the way. And I'm okay with that. In any case, I'm going to try to recover and sit in here. No one taking over for Don. Don's going to get the glory for bringing those two back. And I'm going to try to slot back in here. Heart rate slightly coming down. Yeah, from 168 down to 162. So I'm at this point, and of course I never look at my stuff when I'm actually like in the middle of this. The only thing I'll look at occasionally is power if I'm up front. I'm like, okay, I can hold this or I can't hold this. That's the deal. So we'll see. And I'm able to slot back in here. Rob bringing up the rear here. Yeah, that little bandana of his, after seeing the Josh Portner video, yeah, that's wattage being like bled off with that thing just flapping in the breeze right there. That needs to be put in a little like rubber band or something like that. In fact, I should probably link to this video or what have you. In any case, back down to 161. I'm comfortably back in the melee. Looks like people are working hard up there. Rob letting a little bit of a gap open up behind his lovely wife. And we can't have that at these speeds, so I have to like go around him. We got looks like Mitch out there just in the wind, like just pushing in the wind, and he's strong enough to be in the wind, but he should actually be slotting in like somewhere. But if you're looking for a workout, that's okay. And it's giving me a tiny, tiny bit of shelter. Now my heart rate's into the 150, so now we're totally comfortable. I don't know what was happening up there, but probably no one looking to take over after Don did all that hard work to bring people back. Because, yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of people willing to take over too much. Okay, and there's Scott passing him. He's a little bit burned out. That's okay. He gave it his good try. We got Doug in the blue who was able to ride coattails, able to snag onto the group. I don't want to say that dishonorable, but hey, if you didn't come around to help Scott, stay away, and now you're in here, I want to talk about opportunistic. But it's a sprint zone. You can do what here's this crazy car. That crazy truck almost smacked into that 370. Jesus Christ. That was just crazy. And I think, yeah, that was just freaking crazy. That's the kind of thing that the law needs to be shutting down. Where was that guy going? There was no fire. I don't know. I think he must have misjudged the closing speed of the car coming in front, but he should know there's a stop sign coming up here, right? People, use your brains. Use your brains. Yeah, in any case, I don't know who got that one, but that was good. That was fun. And we're going to the last one. A little bit of waiting here. A little bit of disorganization here as we get together. Still people love to be out in the middle of the road. Maybe they're drifting back. I don't know. But if I was a car, I'd be like, what are these fools doing? If you can go to the right, be to the right. Know better, do better. I think that's Maya Angelou's quote there. I don't know what to say here. In any case, heading down towards the Mr. Stevens' neighborhood. James came out to greet us to give us the path through there because there was construction. This is a really nice neighborhood. James is living good. Yeah. Nice tour. And a nice little break for people. There's a lot of people like to hammer all the time. Hammer, 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 hammer. And I hear there's an alternative ride on Tuesdays, tailwinds or some stuff like that, which I encourage. If folks want to do the Thor type thing all the time, I'm good with that. Because I'm too old to be burning myself out. In any case, some relaxation here. The path is nice. See how fast we're doing. 20 miles an hour down the bike path. Well, I guess 15 is a courtesy speed. There's no enforced limit, and there were some people on the path that we passed. I think I saw a look of terror on one woman's face, and all that was rendered here. But we're just kind of skipping through all this. And here we go. Into the final melee here. So there's a little bit of slowdown. Nice at that path. And that path goes all the way to Greeley now. It's a nice little feather in the cap for Fort Collins and Tinmouth. Actually, Colorado to make that happen. And there's some riders up the road here. And let's fast forward here. Nobody needs to see this. Now we're on the road. And there's I don't want to say lethargy, but we're only doing 15, perhaps the 17. That lull coming through the bike path, and no one wants to do anything. And I believe in a few moments, Danny's going to come by with a wild hair up his ass and get everything started here. Or maybe he's already done that. In any case, yeah, maybe that already happened and I missed that part in the video. In any case, we're chilling, 16, 17, no one's committed, and the rules of engagement did state unofficially, and these are not my rules of engagement. Somebody else decided that the melee should start after the bridge because the way the road narrows like that, and I'm okay with that. You know, some good tempo to that point is a good thing. And at this point, like, everyone's like 2x2, which is kind of nice, you know. Handlebar to handlebar, we got Greg and Doug looking good there. You know, 19 miles an hour. And here we go. Yeah, there goes Danny. He says, enough of this. Time to go hurt a little bit. Kind of wish he would have done some of that on the sprint zones, the earlier ones. But, you know, better late than never. And here we go. Doesn't look like there's a sense of urgency yet. I think everybody is going to be waiting until the bridge to maybe pick it up a little bit. Yep, 17 miles an hour. My 30-second wattage like 99. Okay, yeah. We're not doing anything here. My 5-minute power, 94. Yeah, we're talking zone 1. Zone 0, if there is such a thing. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. La-di-da, 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 la-di-da. 20 miles an hour. Pushing like, you know, double-digit watts. And here is the bridge. Here is when it is time to officially hit it. And I don't know how much gap Danny has. I can't really see here. But that's okay. You know, hanging in here, you know, it's good. I guess my Ron cam disappeared. Anyway, I'm up here with everybody else, so it's still good. There goes Don. People starting to position a little bit. There's some people that are a little bit tired. As it looks like, here it is. Yeah, here people are hitting it now. And there you can, there's Marcelo on the pedal, stomping on it. And we see James Stevens next to him. And James is like, yeah, this is like a walk in the park. No effort, no strain showing in his form whatsoever. You know, and this is the difference between the strong category racer and the rest of us. In any case, oh yeah, this is the Ron cam. Oh yeah, my camera went away. Oh yeah, cool. I should have labeled this the Ron cam. Anyway, yeah, Ron looking strong up there. Marcelo looking strong up there. Everybody just a ramming and a thumping. And I'm still in it. We're looking at my 30-second power, like within 5 watts of Ron's. So that's pretty good. Instantaneous power is like pretty good. You can see that little blue line where everybody just hit it in that last bit of the graph there. And there goes Ron, past a lot of people. We got Doug falling back. We got Ron blowing by Greg here, riding above his station, and it's almost time to stop here. Yep. And a good time was had by all. I love that. That was good. Looks like, yep, Danny is brought back. And, oh, another final push, and you can see people going. And Ron has shut it down at this point, and everybody's going there. Can't see who won that one, but it was good. Yep, you can see who the strong men are, the people who that we should be like prodding to be out there, like on the prospect sprint zone. And let's take them this long to like warm up. Nice bike path pass, and you can see why we take the bike path. You know, better than being in that circle. That's always dangerous if you have like a chance to avoid conflict with cars. And anytime, peace out. A good time was had by all.